Hi, let me tell you. Switzerland can be said to be a very, very strange economy. He is very rich, or he is very profitable. In 2024, his per capita GDP reached a staggering $10.6 million, ranked second in the world. The first place is Luxembourg. The population is only over
Switzerland is
600,000.
basically the world's per capita.
The most profitable country. And the magic is hot. You see France and Germany next to him. It's completely free trade.
But GDP per capita
is only about
Italy
half that of
even
Switzerland.
worse.
Don't you think it's strange?
How did he achieve such a high labor cost?
Prices are so high.
Natural resources are still
It can still
extremely
throw away
scarce. All the countries in the
Maintain
world
such a high GDP per capita.
Why can't he think of staying neutral?
Why? It can maintain this neutrality for more than 200
Why is
years.
his watch selling so well?
So expensive.
Why is his bank so safe?
Isn't it strange that you have so many questions? Hey, let's take a breath today. Get to know this peculiar Swiss miracle. I am in this lake and mountain. We created something.
Because I didn't bring any paper
I'm
today.
on a big high. Create, keep creating. Let's start with the biggest label on Switzerland. Is its neutrality. Of course, Switzerland, being neutral, takes a lot of
It will also
positions.
be influenced by various international
For
political
example,
games.
during the Russian War 2 years
Swiss
ago,
pressure on U.S. and European Union.
the Russian assets were froze. Over $15 billion. He does a lot of similar
But
things.
at least relatively speaking.
Especially in the heart of Europe. He can be so neutral. It's pretty incredible. You see, he didn't join the European
didn't join the
Union.
Eurozone.
We didn't join NATO.
Even the
United Nations joined reluctantly in 2002.
The flags of other countries are rectangular.
He'd give you a full square. So, which way are you looking? You can see it from the front and the back. It's the same.
Isn't that very fair?
Independent and impartial, right? Sometimes, gentleman makes people feel that he is a bit maverick. You're like paper money. People are printed horizontally.
Rulong.
He has to stand it up
Dull
for
at
you.
a glance.
What kind of opera house tickets do you think it
Hey,
is? Turn it over. He's money.
And let me tell you,
This is no ordinary Swiss
This
lang.
is
Shaoli at school. The Swiss lang shown to you, Betwy. Ha ha ha, thank you, groom. Actually,
there are many countries that claim to be
like
neutral.
Ireland, Mexico, Austria, Ghana, Vatican, Panama, etc.
But let's be honest.
Many countries give people a feeling. That's what he said. What do you think? Especially in peacetime. It's not that hard to claim neutrality. I'll just say,
Our country needs to develop its economy
don't
well.
take me with you when you fight.
We want peace.
Right, that makes sense.
But once it is affected by war,
it even hit the door. You still want to remain neutral.
it's actually very difficult.
You're like, say, Norway.
The Netherlands
is actually similar to
Since
Switzerland.
the 19th century.
Declares itself to be permanently
But
neutral.
when World War II started,
I didn't hold it and got involved.
like Sweden,
which actually survived the First
it
World
survived
War.
the Cold War.
Remained neutral and did not
But the
participate in the
2022
war.
Russian-Ukrainian war has broken out.
I'm nervous. I can't sit still.
It is
I
also
joined North
equivalent to
Vietnam.
giving up one's identity as a
So you
neutral
see,
country.
survived the baptism of war for hundreds of years. He remained neutral.
This difficulty is
very
actually
large
right
and
wrong.
From 1815, after establishing his identity as a power
Never
country, participated in any foreign war. How do you think he did it? Let's talk about World War II.
During World War
Switzerland
II,
can be said to be at the center
it's
of the vortex.
just north of Germany.
To the south is Italy.
To the west is France.
To the east is Austria.
And in the middle is Devil's Zone.
The door is crazy and blown up. He's like having a Vira hood. And there's a very sound strategy behind it. At the same time, he will also pay a huge
I conclude
price.
that he was able to remain neutral during
There
World
are
War
two main
II.
strategies. First, you have to be tough. And secondly, you have to be tactful.
This is spicy. Actually, it doesn't mean it's spicy
It's
to
about
others.
being hot with yourself.
The core idea is to say,
I put explosives on myself.
Don't come here.
If you dare to approach me again, I will perish with you. In fact, the terrain of Switzerland, the whole country, is a bit like a sandwich. To the south and east are the stretches of the Alps, the western border with France, mainly the Jura Mountains. Bordering Germany to the north are the Rhine and Burden Lake. And there's a Swiss plateau in the middle. It's where most people live. So you see his whole country surrounded by either mountains or water. What about connecting to the outside? A very small number of tunnels. Kiakia Mountain Road. This geographical environment, from the perspective of economic activity or foreign exchange, can be said to be a traffic area. But you have to look at it from a military perspective. This is an excellent natural danger, hard to attack. And that gives the Swiss a lot of confidence. When World War II broke out, they were actually very nervous. Don't want to go to war at all. And so there was something called the Fort National. Base Pla. They surrounded around the Alps. A series of fortifications were built. A large number of anti-tank guns. Machine guns are hidden in the mountains or disguised as a bone compartment. So far, a lot of them still exist. You see a lot of mundane little houses. Pull the door. Hey, there's a cannon inside. And what about these cannons? It's targeting key highways, bridge or tunnel. What about them? Hard to say. Destroy all the difficulties at that time, such as very Germany, important function, is ready to destroy its own road, or aim at the Mount High, ready to create mudslides all around his country. Hundreds of fortresses, large and small. There are tons of explosives buried, always ready to cut off direct contact with the outside world. The explosives were not largely cleared until 2015. He was digging holes in lots of mountains to cover and bomb shelters. According to incomplete statistics, tens of thousands of large covers were dug. There are enough necessities inside. Communication equipment and explosives. Did you see it? This is actually one of his hedgehog strategies. He thought a very clear signal to other countries. It's hard to say how my attack power is, but I'm definitely not to be messed with. If you want to force it on me, then I have to fight to the death. At least get your hands on the blood. This bridge still connects Switzerland and Germany. Renovation completed in 2006. The Swiss are still on this pier. Hit the ladder. They're very cautious. It's been over 60 years since the Soviet Union also collapsed more than 10 years ago. I'll hide it for you from time to time. We just said he was hard enough on himself, but this alone is cruel. In fact, it was not enough to stop the Germans. In fact, at that time, it has been done in great detail to take down the soldiers' battle plan. So Switzerland, his second trick is to be slick. That's when I'm a hedgehog. I will still cooperate with you. I want to be a useful hedgehog. So you look at Swiss banks as a neutral bank. It doesn't matter if you're British, French, American, or German, Italian. I don't care if you made the money. Stolen, robbed, I'm willing to do business with you. Put the money with me. Don't worry. Because of the identity of this neutral country, Swiss franc during World War II, it is the only one in the world that can circulate freely convertible currency. So whether it was Germany or Britain or France at that time, a lot of gold bars. It's in a Swiss bank. In exchange for Swiss francs, what about banks in Switzerland? He can pay a below-market price in exchange for a lot of gold looted by war. Back in 1998, the Swiss National Bank is admitting Switzerland during World War II received contemporary value from the Nazis for $140 million of gold. Financial assistance from Switzerland also supported at that time a crucial part of the German economy. After these things broke out, it has seriously damaged Switzerland's international image. It also led to a major change in Switzerland. We'll talk about that later. Of course, from the Swiss perspective, he'll say, I'm just protecting myself. That is, just do business with anyone without distinction. And we're going to move away from moral judgment here. Anyway, the Swiss are tough enough on themselves. Be tactful enough with others. He managed to escape the ravages of World War II. I even made a small fortune because of this war. You say Swiss. Why is he obsessed with neutrality? Is he a coward? Well, it's not. Let me tell you something. He's very, very good at fighting. How far can you hit? In fact, a long time in history, the Swiss is civilized as a mercenary. from the 13th century. After going through wars big and small, people in these countries in Europe found that the Swiss can really fight. Fighting ability. Discipline is good. In addition, Switzerland itself is economically underdeveloped, so I often go nearby as a mercenary for another country. They are especially powerful, long-haired soldiers. The formation of that square is also like a rampage through the battlefield. Invincible. In the 15th century, almost monopolized the European long-haired soldier market. After that, it began to be imitated by other countries. Until now, Do you know what baby's yellower guard is called? Called the Swiss Guard. Swiss Guard. By the 17th century, Switzerland has also suffered heavy defeats in several wars. A little tired. Meanwhile, you've been a mercenary for hundreds of years. I also have some primitive accumulation. Even his banking industry. It's all about managing mercenaries. The money you earn grows and grows. The economy has reached a bottom. He just declared himself neutral. But even though he said he was neutral, he also added one. I can still be a mercenary. Party of friends, don't worry. Well, what about after eating? He was briefly invaded for a while. The European nations at the Congress of Vienna in 1815 established the status of Switzerland as a permanent neutral country. This has also attracted people like the World Trade Organization, Bank for International Settlements, International Committee of the Red Cross, 50 international organizations headquartered in Switzerland. And because of the identity of a neutral country, one of the most profitable industries in Switzerland. It is also one of Switzerland's leading industries in the world. It was his banking industry. A little bit more specific. It's wealth management at his bank. Wealth management theory. White is to manage money for the rich. Manage money for high-value people. Probably since World War II. Switzerland is the world's largest offshore financial center. A quarter of the world's cross-border assets. It's all in Swiss banks, according to UBS statistics. Global billionaires. Assets over $1 billion. 46% of these rich people. That is, nearly half of them are their customers. Then why do you say the Swiss banking industry? How can it attract the rich from all over the world? His former killer alkali. Attention, I'm talking about the former killer alkali. It's secrecy. Switzerland, as early as 1934, he introduced one that he has: the significance of federal law. Federal Banking and Savings Bank Act. The abbreviation is the Swiss Banking Act. The most famous of these is a Section 47. It probably means that banks cannot disclose customer information to anyone, including the Swiss authorities, including any other country. And this is written into federal law. You put the money with me, I'll take care of the money. You have 100 hearts. You can't even cut my mouth with a saw. In fact, you see that World War II was fought to the death. Both sides. You can put your money with confidence. Valuables are kept in Swiss banks, although there are some ethical issues. But for the Swiss banking industry, he kept it a secret. This is one of the best advertisements. By virtue of its secrecy. In addition, Switzerland has also adjusted the tax rate very low at his bank after World War II. It quickly attracted global capital to settle here. It has also rapidly grown into two major banks, Swiss Bank and Credit Suisse. What about the bank? He also keeps strengthening his confidentiality to the outside world. Safety features. You see, it just so happens that Switzerland has dug a lot of cover. UBS might as well buy it. Some caves. His vault is hidden under the Alps. What about Credit Suisse? I hid the safe under the water. You may not feel the need for this, but you sound safe. This reputation also spread further and you look at various film and television works. Can be said to be classified the highest pronu. I remember Flower Street is to use Swiss banks to launder money. The Da Vinci Code, also using an anonymous Swiss account. The eyeshadow is heavy in a safe in Switzerland to get your passport and money. In 007. So as a child I felt, this Swiss gold hoop, I wish it were the most mysterious in the world. The safest place. Anyway, Switzerland has banking laws. You have low taxes. Plus the media publicity. Joint promotion. Switzerland's private banking sector is expanding rapidly. Acquired Credit Suisse in 23. The size of assets has reached $5.80 trillion. That's more than 7 times the GDP of Switzerland. Although if you just look at the Swiss banking industry,
His contribution to Switzerland's GDP
maybe not that
less
prominent,
than 10%.
but he did this by attracting the rich outside. Business card effect.
Collateral effects, he is huge.
This also became the Swiss economy
a crucial engine.
But you want such a good confidentiality
The money
mechanism
that these plutocrats have saved.
His intentions may not be very clear.
There
are some The most common is tax evasio. A lot of people he might go to the Cayman Islands, build an offshore shelf company, then in the name of this company, open an account in Switzerland. This can be
the
covered.
owner behind this bank account.
Look at the Cayman Islands.
This is
a
earlier.
layer of information isolation.
This
Swiss
is another
bank.
layer of information
So that whether it
Europe
is the United
or
States
who
wants this information, Switzerland,
Isn't it
cannot
possible
give it.
to avoid taxes by hiding income?
Of course, let me
That was
emphasize,
before.
you can't do that now. We'll talk about that later. And tax evasion may be relatively clear.
There are
also a large number
He will
of criminals.
put the dirty money in Switzerland.
For example, former Philippine President
From
1965 to 1986,
over
$10
he was
billion
in power.
in bribes. This is in the Guinness Book of World Records. Ever. The greatest government theft. Where did Max put these dirty money? Hey, they were using a lot of anonymous accounts. Put the money in a Swiss bank. After 16 years of litigation, that's a crime. The Swiss government only submitted to the Philippine government $683
or the former
million.
president of Nigeria.
Former president of Iraq,
A lot of
etc. Politicians keep money in Swiss banks.
And a deposit is the kind of hundreds of millions of
And
dollars.
these are just the ones that
It's
pop up. Really just the tip of the iceberg. In addition, like some drug
Fraud
sales,
group,
gangs,
bank
etc.
accounts in Switzerland are even more numerous.
Switzerland's confidentiality mechanism.
It has
also become a corner of the dirt hidden by global capital. 1997.
There was a
young man under 30 named Mali. He was working as a guard at a Swiss bank. Found by chance. UBS is destroying Holocaust-era Jews to orphan-related assets. The document is actually equivalent to
UBS
wants to put some World War II assets left by the Nazis for themselves. So Meli snuck the papers home and handed over to a Jewish organization. Finally, this document was brought under control. Meli also became the first person to be convicted
Swiss
of
banking
violating
law.
received by
People
wanted by
Switzerland.
the federal government.
I had to
rush to America. And the public. After seeing these documents, the condemnation of Swiss banks is also overwhelming. Finally, in August 98, UBS and Jewish victims
reached a
total of $1.25.
Also reached a total
of $750,000
This
with
thing,
Mary. Although it has stopped, but no did he tore a hole. Let the public see the Swiss banking industry, the dark side. Also, his entire industry, a very critical turning point. Don't look at the overheating of global capital in the next 10 years. The Swiss banking industry also held a party, but it's more like a doomsday party. After 2005, one after another, some internal documents on the Swiss banking industry exposed them in various ways to help overseas customers. Good tax. In 2009, UBS made a loud deal with the U.S. Department of Justice, $780 million fine, and it has provided the United States with more than customer account info. The original small opening was torn open at once, including like Germany, France, Belgium, and other countries investigating Swiss banks. Are they helping citizens of their own country to evade Switzerland
taxes?
Is under pressure from governments and
With
public
America,
opinion. European Union has signed information exchange involving account info of residents of these countries. It needs to be shared with their government. Although a lot of information is shared now, there will still be a lot of restrictions on the Swiss confidentiality system. It still applies to all Swiss citizens. However, internationally, Switzerland's label secrecy before half a century of fame. It's no longer there. Since 2008, the Swiss financial industry has been in decline. Although it is not true that the rich are directly large-scale divestment, but overall banking competitiveness, it must be incomparable to the big banks in the
Swiss
United
banking
States.
sector's
Share of GDP, also from 11.2 in 2007 down to only 8.9% in 2022. the two largest banks in Switzerland.
This is Credit Suisse,
but also because of his not too aggressive strategy.
Management continues to be volatile.
The knife layer is frequently embroiled in scandals.
Is so slightly shaped.
Knife run in 2023. Finally, the Swiss National Bank intervened strongly.
It's almost like a knife
around the necks of these two banks.
That UBS ended up buying Credit Suisse for $3.25.
It was also a mess at that time. Look at this building.
It turned out to be the global headquarters for credits.
Look at the current card UBS. UBS has been completely replaced
by
UBS. Secrecy allows Swiss banks also got a huge bonus. And I tell you
Switzerland,
his idea of secrecy,
it's not just banks.
The secrets he can keep are not limited to money. Friends, look at the building behind me. Very inconspicuous.
But he is global.
An invisible vault of wealthy civilization. There's probably 1.2 million pieces here,
equivalent to 2 Louvres.
There are thousands of Picassos alone.
What Van Gogh?
Monet, Da Vinci went on and on.
It's estimated
the value of this collection exceeds $100 billion.
Also known as YES,
the world's largest museum of invisible art. And this place also has a lot of underground transactions to avoid taxes.
The heart of tax evasion and money laundering.
Hey, this is the Geneva Freeport. Although his name is Port, but he has no water and no boat.
It is a tax-free special economic zone.
Many countries actually promote trade, attract overseas investment.
Will there be such a free trade zone?
Free economic zones, etc.
In these special
economic
zones,
many economies,
activities such as investment processing,
import and export, etc.
Freeport
is also a special economic zone. It's actually kind of like a tax-free temporary locker.
Like what?
Do you want to put this product in my temporary storage? Then the goods in transit are shipped away. Then I will no longer charge you customs duties on imports
a storage
and
fee.
Exports. This kind of Freeport is common in many countries.
Global total.
There are over 600 Freeports.
And Geneva, the Freeport.
What's the difference? He is exempt from
tax.
There's also a very big selling point. That's right, secrecy. The identity of the previous
depositor.
The source value of an item is strictly confidential. You get an empty box.
The company can operate this port anonymously.
Maybe you know, Kamai has a very mysterious company. Put one here. I don't know what's in it.
A box of art.
I don't care what it is.
I'll just charge the storage fee.
You see this confidentiality
for
system
the art collection industry?
You know, it's pretty important. You see, he is tax-free and confidential.
A lot of collectors. What would he do?
For example, he bought a piece of art with a lot of money.
Don't want to ship him back to his country.
Hey, I'll put him in this.
Geneva Freeport would be fine.
You can save that for years and decades.
Wait for the right moment later.
Find the right beer to resell. This way, I don't have to pay VAT.
No tariffs.
The whole process.
He's probably never seen the artwork before.
Anyway, for those who are
for collectors of expensive art,
he is mainly an investment behavior.
It's like buying stocks.
It's not for hanging at home either.
Go and take a closer look at this artwork here.
In a small warehouse in a Freeport.
Probably never moved the nest
but the transaction records over there have been bought.
I don't know how many points the price of buying has increased.
He also found out about the Freeport.
I attracted a lot of art.
So he added a full service to himself. For example, with top-notch security.
Some art experts. Even the restoration of cultural relics, maintenance, insurance, etc.
You can even enjoy this freedom.
An art exhibition in the harbor.
Hey, no problem.
In fact, it's not just the artwork that he
red
attracts.
wine, antiques, etc.
So anyway,
it's those imports and exports that may
but
involve
not afraid
a
of
lot
long-term
storage. Hey, you can enter this Freeport.
Of course.
Look at his storage facility.
The various services are so
perfect.
The storage price is really expensive.
Just a picture of that average size. Where do you put it?
Storage fee is $1,000.
You want to rent a small storage room.
$12,000 a month.
How about expensive? What does it attract to have such secrecy?
I'm sure you've guessed it. Is a large number of illegal art and cultural relics.
The Freeport of Geneva has been involved in smuggling many times. Money laundering-related cases. After 2005, to close the channels for the trade in illegal cultural property, Switzerland has passed a series of laws required for all cultural relics imported into Switzerland. You must declare the source, owner, and value. So after that, newly preserved cultural relics, you have a very detailed file. But before 2009, it's deposited. Most still don't know who owns it. How much is it worth? What is it? You can't take any coercive measures in Switzerland otherwise, either. Wouldn't it be equivalent to smashing your own sign? So it can only be for these who don't know whose. Anonymous company. Keep some mysterious boxes that I don't know what they are. How much treasure is hidden in this free port? It's still a mystery. Did you see it? One of Switzerland's core strategies is neutrality. One of the keys to neutrality is secrecy. Confidentiality for all clients. This became an attraction for the world's richest people in the 20th century. A pillar of global wealth. And in the 21st century, various non-disclosure agreements began to crumble. This also marks the end of the era of secrecy in Switzerland. So that he can't actually eat it anymore. The dividends brought by these gray industries behind the secret. But the Swiss economy is not going downhill. On the contrary, it can still be deeply affected by the European debt crisis in a dragging environment. Still going strong. Rise against the trend. So why is that? Well, actually, some new trump card industries have long been explored. Secrecy banking has long since stopped. First of all, I will test you. Do you know the market value of Switzerland? Who are the top 3 companies? No, Ujo Big Bank. Bank of Switzerland is not a Rolex. It's actually Roche, Nestle, and Novartis. Did you see it? 2 of the top 3 are in the pharmaceutical industry. So it became clear, a major driver of the Swiss economy. It's pharmaceuticals and chemicals. You see, this is the last 25 years distribution of export products. The most powerful side here. The stuff in red at the bottom is medicine. Here, medicine. Chemicals have already accounted for exports. That's why. Look around the European debt crisis. But Swiss GDP per capita is still booming. In fact, look at this picture. Is it better to understand why Switzerland should not join the European Union? Who would like to join you? You don't weigh how many caddies you have. How much do I make? How much do you make? Right? Haha, just kidding. You said the pharmaceutical industry in Switzerland. Why is it so powerful? Of course. There was some element of chance. But Switzerland has a stable political environment. High-quality talent. Taxes are also relatively friendly. And his currency, the Swiss franc, is also very stable. Have given the pharmaceutical industry a very good soil environment. The pharmaceutical industry itself is short of talent. His aggregation effect will be very obvious. So, Switzerland gradually attracted the whole of Europe. Even global talent companies come here to settle. What about this industry? His share of GDP is not necessarily very high. How important he is to the Swiss economy. What is the very important function? Is that he can pull up the average income of the Swiss? Of course. It also pushed up his prices. The average monthly salary in the Swiss pharmaceutical industry. Do you know how many there are? He can reach $11,500. 83,000 average monthly salary. And you know the 3rd largest GDP per capita in the world. Who is also following Switzerland? Hey, it's Ireland. He has such a high GDP per capita. In fact, it is also largely the promotion of the pharmaceutical industry. The 2nd largest contributor to the Swiss economy was manufacturing, especially machine tools. Precision Instruments can be said to be a global leader. What about him at first? It actually originated in the textile industry. Then in the Swiss companies started mechanizing production. Develop your own machine. And then he realized, hey, I seem to be more talented at building machines than spinning. Weaving should be strong. So slowly, Switzerland has seen the birth of many family businesses. He insists on specializing in a certain subfield. For example, I will machine a gear or a particularly delicate part. Make a product the ultimate. Ultimately, it comes together. Precision Instruments. Globally, there are very high technical barriers. For example, there is a company called Schindler. You probably haven't heard of it. You must have seen this logo before. He is one of the largest automatic support companies in the world. One of the latter companies. And like ABB, Liebherr is a manufacturing powerhouse. This Swiss watch, it can be said to be a synonym for luxury watches. Although production is less than 2% but globally, contributing more than 50% of the profit. From about the 19th century, Swiss mechanical pocket watch. Mechanical watches begin large-scale production. By the beginning of the 20th century, 40% of the global total. But then it was hit by Japanese quartz watches. Swiss mechanical watches were once in jeopardy. Like Longines radar, Omi Harbor is on the verge of bankruptcy. So two companies in financial trouble merged in 1983 and launched a unexpected watch brand Swatch. And his core philosophy was low-cost art fashion. Most watches are plastic cases. It can be said that it has completely subverted the image of traditional watches. Popular in the global market. It has helped the Swiss watch industry to a large extent. Withstood the shock. He also operates through capital. Completed the high-end transformation with many brands. Do you know who the largest watch group in the world is? Hey, it's not Rolex or LVMH. This is the Swatch Group. Now like Omega, Longines, Pamilton Radar Tissot, Bougie and other brands are all owned by Swatch Group. In fact, I feel that the education system in Switzerland is it the reason why he is in precision manufacturing. Reason why watchmaking has been very successful. His education system is very unique. It's called a two-track system. Only about 1/3 of the people, like most other countries, all the way from elementary university school to 2/3 go on what's called an apprenticeship. After 9 years of compulsory education, go directly to the company as an intern. The apprentice. This apprentice will do for years. Probably say 3 to 4 days a week. Go directly to the company then for a day or two. Complete some relevant knowledge in school. What about big companies? He would set up an apprenticeship program to recruit apprentices. And the students are literally graduating from junior high school. You have to go for an interview. Looking for a job. So I forced you to wait until you were 15. You have to think. Know yourself. Who am I and what do I want to do? It also forces these parents to understand their children. Help them choose a career. Anyway, this early diversion education system must be good and bad. But what about things like precision manufacturing? Watch manufacturing is so complicated. For industries that require experience accumulation. In fact, it has been very beneficial. Became Switzerland. Global civilization in manufacturing and watchmaking. I think so. I don't know if you feel it. Made in Switzerland is actually now formed a brand of its own. You see, although not many watches are sold in Switzerland, is not high. But he is very important to the country of Switzerland. The effect is actually immeasurable. What? You just put Swiss made on it. The price can't wait to double. Not just watches, like a military knife or even chocolate cheese. Milk seems to be high-end and expensive. It's not that he's tricking people. It is to inflate the price. This is actually determined by market supply and demand. The trust behind Swiss manufacturing. Are you all luxury goods? His profit margin will be higher. To a certain extent, you can avoid talking to other countries. To compete for labor costs, to fight for profit margin. Look at that. What it takes to build a luxury brand. The first is quality control products themselves. It has to be very good from design to manufacturing. That's for sure. That's not enough. You also need scarcity. Hey, bungee jumping is very rare. And then again, very important. You just need the right marketing. And all three are essential. And Switzerland gives all three. You see, Switzerland, first of all, this thing plays with chocolate cheese. People really have the strength of this product. At the same time, Switzerland has limited manpower, is limited, and he's very particular about everything. Watches must be handmade. The cows can't wait to get you into the Alps. Go down to the bottom of Recession Mountain for a walk. Indeed very limited. Most importantly, Switzerland is a neutral country. It is a unique image of indisputable. In addition, his beautiful scenery is similar to These are the Alps. It is also famous around the world. Look, maybe it can't be hit by 8 poles, potentially shaping the national image of Switzerland. In fact, this also explains why is Switzerland's GDP per capita so high. Prices are so high. It can also be a large exporting country. You have to know. Not only is Switzerland in the top 3 in terms of GDP per capita, ridiculously high. Geneva, Ranked in the top 10 most expensive cities in the world, it's because his price is too high. What about many residents who live at the border? I often go to Italy on weekends. Shopping in France. Shopping. The surrounding prices have also been raised. I remember a friend from Switzerland before. Just kidding me. You are used to living in Switzerland. The coolest bit. Where are you going to travel around the world? It feels so cheap. Okay, so you said the labor cost in Switzerland. You hire an engineer in Switzerland. It may be possible to put it in the Indian area. Can still maintain competitiveness in the international market. This is a very important reason. It's this image he made in Switzerland. He found himself high precision, high added value. Industries with sufficient market demand. And he not only found one, he found three. The three industries we just mentioned are pharmaceuticals, precision manufacturing are Switzerland's top 3 export industries. What about Switzerland? It also continues to maintain a smooth current account. And it is because the Swiss economy is very strong. And he was neutral, politically stable. This brings one to Switzerland. It might sound like a problem with anti-earplugs. It was his currency, the Swiss franc. Demand is too high. Every time there is a global economic upheaval, capital flock to Swiss franc. Push him to appreciate significantly. The demand for money is too high. And what happens? The impact on Swiss exports has been too great. So what? The Swiss National Bank is trying to control the Swiss government. Don't get promoted too much. I have to keep this interest rate to very, very low. Especially the 2008 financial crisis. And then the European debt crisis broke out. This Swiss franc continues to appreciate. The SNB is not stopping. Inject liquidity into the market. Come and go. There is an excessive demand for the Swiss franc in the market. They took the lead in pushing interest rates down to 0.25%. The market continues to buy. At the height of the Great Debt Crisis in 2011, The Economist is based on. The Big Mac Index has an estimate. The Swiss franc is overvalued by 98% against the dollar. The SNB can't sit still. So many promotions. The pressure of the export crackdown on Switzerland. Just too big. He suddenly made a big move. Announced that the downline of the euro against the Swiss franc is 1.2. He just needs to break through this limit. The central bank will buy unlimited. And he brought the settlement down to 0. Really 0. It really shocked the market at that time. Swiss franc immediately ushered in the biggest disruption ever. Euro against Swiss franc. It bounced back above 1.2 in Look at the scriptures that are difficult to read in every family. The Eurozone on the side begged the capital to say don't go. Don't sell. Roland begged the capital to say don't come. Don't buy it. But that's not the end. Because the European debt crisis continues to ferment. The market demand for Swiss franc is still very strong. The SNB should normally cut interest rates. But the interest rate is already 0. How do you say it will drop? Hey, why can't it go down, right? He cut interest rates to minus 0.75% in 2014. But even so, it still failed to hold down the pressure of the Swiss franc's appreciation. January 15, 2015, the Swiss National Bank suddenly announced canceled the one just now. Euro restrictions on the Swiss franc 1.2 market was shocked to guy. Roland rose another 15%. After the outbreak of the EU war. And not surprisingly, there was a constant argument. It is now worth more than dollars and euros. So you see, Swiss National Bank. It's really because I'm worried that everyone will treat too strong. Too much enthusiasm affects exports. Worried a lot. And his vigorous policy management approach shocked the market twice, let many funds blow up and close down. I scared the market traders out of their wits. The Swiss National Bank's little bell and push must be open. Always be prepared for this shock. Why does the Swiss Central Bank? It often shocks the market because it was this idea of opaque information. Strategy is what decisions I make. What policy without warning? I won't fix those fake ones for you. I'll post it when I come up. He's not like the Federal Reserve. It's about communication. Various language skills. Release signal expectation management. Quite the contrary. We all know that. Swiss franc and Japanese yen. It's the safe haven currency of two global civilizations.
Their appearance is that once they encounter turbulence,
The market will buy,
will appreciate in value.
Actually,
The logic behind them is completely different. What about the yen?
largely because of the massive carry trade,
Package trading,
including Japan, which itself has a lot of
when
foreign
turbulence
investment.
occurs,
These overseas capital will flow back,
including position squaring,
will lead to the appreciation of the
and
yen.
what about real?
I'd say, how is the real safe haven currency? People think he's safe, economically reliable.
If the currency is stable, run to safety.
That's why the Swiss franc has compound interest
but
rates.
the market is using him as a
There's
toxic
not a lot of trading
because
capital.
of the package deal. You need to keep shorting Rulong.
That's how he got promoted, right?
Who can stand to keep shorting it?
Not to mention,
This
SNB also gives you from time to time.
Shock.
Investors in the market can't stand it either. And you want the Swiss central bank. He tried to suppress Rulong.
Keep
selling Swiss francs.
Then buy euros or dollars.
Plus what? Switzerland, he used to have a current account.
It's a persistent surplus.
This allows the Swiss central bank
accumulated
to
a large amount of foreign exchange reserves.
It's on the order of $1 trillion. Third in the world, second only to China and Japan. He's pretty interesting here.
I looked
at a quarter. It's about $250 billion.
What you bought is a stock pool warehouse.
Mostly in U.S. stocks.
Unsurprisingly, like Apple, Nvidia,
Microsoft, Amazon, these, and the Swiss central bank. And there's one in particular that's
he's
interesting.
actually listed.
That means you can buy the country Switzerland, the central bank of this money printing institutio. Does that sound silly? And it's even more exaggerated.
His market value is only very per 350 million.
What about the SNB?
It's about
66% owned.
It is held by Swiss cantons and banks.
The rest of it, shares held by private holders. Actually, although you can nominally buy his stock, but you don't get any voting rights. What is the profit on buying this stock? The central bank is not a profit-making organization.
You can lose shares at most every year.
Receive a dividend of 15 Swiss francs. This is what you get for buying him. So he's a stock in name only, but it's actually more like a bond. A perpetual bond that pays you interest forever. Its Swiss bank is just for you to play with. As for all the decisions he makes in his own business, it must be to protect the country of Switzerland. Currency stability. In the interest of your shareholder. I'm afraid it doesn't matter for half a dime. Then why did he do this? To be honest, a large part of this is due to historical
early 20th
reasons.
century.
Central banks feel a little differently than they do now. At that time, people didn't actually think that central banks. It's sort of a core institution of the state. It's more like a bank. To ensure that there is no argument, they held hands together and formed an organization. Strengthen the credibility of the entire banking industry. It is not
You see,
just
when the Federal
Switzerland.
Reserve was first
The
established,
purpose
is
until
similar.
now, he is also theoretically a shareholder of many
What
small
about
banks.
Switzerland?
A little bit more extreme. Anyone can buy his shares on the secondary market. This actually reflects Ray, a very important feature in internal management. Just now we said he was neutral. In fact, it is his style towards the external international market. What about the internal system? His main philosophy is decentralization. Pay attention to a bottom-up management. You take, for example, the central bank.
It is this
and you
idea
give
of
people
decentralization
stock ownership.
that
And then, of
drives.
course, because central banks are so important, this so-called shareholding will become a symbolic. But Switzerland, this idea of decentralization, in fact, it goes deep into other
All
countries.
aspects
of the system. There are 26 cantons in Switzerland. Call 26 cantons. Each state has considerable autonomy. They have their own education system, own tax policy, their own laws, even their own language. Switzerland has 4 official languages alone: German, French, Italian, and Romansh. The most people speak German here. About 2/3 of people's first language is German. There are very few people who use Roman 10 languages. Only about less than 1% of people regarded him as. They come from all kinds of languages. You see, we are in Zurich now. It's farther north in Switzerland, almost bordering Germany. So this group of people speak German, but like the South, like Geneva. His main language away from France is French. So often they communicate with each other.
It will start switching languages for no reason.
More than 2/3 of the Swiss speak at least 2 languages every week.
What TV show do they have? There must be multiple copies of the product manual.
It's magical. Okay, let's go back to the heart of Switzerland.
You see, he has a lot of power every week.
The core decision-making level of the central government
is a federal
council composed of 7 people. Together, we have the final
say. And even
say.
these 7 people are spread out.
Usually there are 4 from the German-speaking
from the
part.
French Quarter.
Another one is from the Italian
and
region.
his presidency is only 1 year per term.
Can't be re-elected every year.
Hardly from the same party.
In fact, this president is a foreign investment
His
risk.
actual rights.
With the remaining 6 people in the federal council,
it makes no difference.
However, any major decision-making in the country or amend the constitution, Switzerland will hold a referendum. Any sit-ayes. You have significance for the laws approved by parliament. 50,000 signatures. You can challenge the referendum. Even any citizen you have a problem with the constitution. You only need to collect 100,000 supporters. You can have a referendum. The Swiss really love referendums. In theory, every CISO,
there is a time for a referendum.
Vote if you have anything.
You cannot vote if you
On
have
average,
nothing to do.
About 3 times a year.
Have a
Are there
look.
any major decisions to be made in the past 3 months?
You know,
2002.
regarding whether to join the United Nations,
Switzerland's national labor
in the
campaign.
end,
54.6% of people voted yes. Switzerland has joined. Sometimes you think it's okay. He also votes. Just say. There was a national labor vote just in February.
Do you want to respect the limits of the earth?
Building a responsible economy. The last 70% voted no. It's not just the national labor vote.
These various municipalities
Villages also organize people to vote. Maybe sometimes
everyone
gathered in a big square
and raise your hand.
It was funny. But you got me. Switzerland is like
a
that.
Decentralized political system.
It's okay. Just vote. What about the Swiss? They have that sense of ownership. In fact, this may be why.
An important reason for not choosing to join the European Union.
I've seen one quote.
Meaning forma.
It was back in 2012.
To vote. Do you want to take paid annual leave in Switzerland?
4 weeks increased to 6 weeks. This vote is honest. If you want to give yourself more vacation, you will definitely choose yes out of your head.
But what about the actual voting results?
66.5% voted against. 2/3 of people said no. Don't give me a vacation.
That's too costly for the economy as a whole.
He has been Italian for a long time.
In 2002.
Neither do they. Decided to change the length of a week's work from.
Proposal to reduce 42 hours to 36 hours.
You see, I'm not saying they must have voted for the right decision. But for this, the choice between long-term and short-term benefits, it's easy to get into that collective irrationality. So you can see it too. The Swiss is really on the national side. From a long-term perspective, to cast this vote, I find this rather rare.
Of course it's possible.
This Swiss guy, he just loves
is a workaholic.
You see, we looked at Switzerland in order to remain neutral. The price paid. Watch Swiss secrecy and the rise and fall of banking. Saw the star industry in Switzerland and the luxury brand effect he created. So real long. Why it can become a safe haven currency for global civilization.
I also saw the centralization of his politics
and a pragmatic education system. And let's face it, that's probably why. The reason why Switzerland's GDP per capita
it's hard for us to use
summarize
one or
it in
two.
a sentence. But what about the last few years? The Swiss economy is indeed holding up. It's going to be a huge challenge. We talked about Singapore before. It feels a bit like Switzerland. Explore a set of global capital markets. The logic of making money in the trade market. But what about Switzerland? It feels more like old money, obviously. He has more. However, the economic transition will also be more difficult. The disappearance of his non-disclosure
the advantages
agreement
that have allowed the Swiss banking industry to take the lead.
The continued economic malaise in other countries around Europe.
Weak demand.
There is no sign of a pickup in the short term either. Deglobalizing medicine in Switzerland. Precision manufacturing
Supply
industry
chain
and demand could pose a double whammy. I think these are very low level. The long-term challenges and shocks to the Swiss economy. Do you think old money can withstand the impact of the times? Maybe 20 years from now. We can do another video to see. Then let's continue climbing the mountain. That invisible vault. Great, ha ha ha. How do I read the words? Ha ha ha, the wind is so strong.